Hello and welcome to yet another Retro Crazy. Atari Lynx, specifically Atari Lynx 2. In a previous video I recapped my Lynx 2, however it was still a bit faulty and we can demonstrate that at the moment, hopefully. Helps if you hit the right button. Now you can hear it's on. I'll try and get it in a position where you can see the screen. Right. From there you can see the screen is, yeah, there's this line. Not great. So while the Lynx is working, unfortunately the screen is dead. There are a number of options out there. You can try and track down a replacement original screen, which I will be doing for my other one because I want to keep one original. Or you can look at an LCD update. There are a number of different ones out there. However, fairly new on the market is this. Let me move this out of the way. This came from BennVenn in Australia. Didn't take long at all to arrive. Ignore the pricing there. That's not what was paid. That's what they've obviously put on the packaging for it to get through customs. Now, I was lucky because look at the damage to the box. Yeah, I think I'm lucky. Everything looks intact because I had to obviously open it and record it just in case I need to claim, which is one of the reasons I'm doing this video so quickly after this has been delivered. Yeah, the post was not kind to it, and as you can tell, fragile stickers do nothing to protect. In fact, I reckon in some cases they do more to attract damage. Now this was all nicely taped down. You can see the tape in the four edges, and this was in here. Now this is a really neat little setup that they do. There are a number of different ones out there, all do effectively the same thing. However, BennVenn have managed to do it solderless. Now ignore this here, this is for something else. But in the kit, you get a nice AtariGamer.com sticker, because funnily enough, the kit comes with a 3D printed Atari Lynx mounting unit for the LCD. So this will space it perfectly in the Lynx. Nice, simple, hopefully find out very shortly if it works. And then the magic is in here. As I say, I've already had this open because I had to check and see if I could see any cracks on the screen. So you've got custom made cable and the screen itself. But this isn't just a screen, because on the back is BennVenn's Rev.5 Solderless circuit board. And the theory is this should be a very quick and simple thing to do. Now there is one modification you can do if you wish, which to be honest I will probably do, and that's to solder to this point here, which is marked on the board as backlight, and that goes to a point on the Lynx, one single wire, and using the backlight button on the Lynx, I believe you can cycle through 7 different backlight settings, with the 8th one being off, so you can actually have the screen off. So that to me seems a sensible and worthwhile thing to do. Because let's face it, in the middle of an evening, low light, you probably don't need full brightness out of the screen, you can drop it down a bit. So this will plug in here, and this goes to the Lynx, and it should connect to the original point on the Lynx 2. The other nice thing that happens is, because you're ditching the fluorescent backlight, not only do you get your clearer screen, but you get an increase in the battery life, because you're not driving the high voltage side of this at all for the fluorescent backlight. So your standard 6 batteries last much longer. And again, if you're using this as a portable device, that's a huge bonus. So let's pop this kit to the side and look at tearing down the Lynx. So let's start by making sure the cartridge is removed and removing the battery cover and any batteries. Next, on the back of your Lynx, if you still have your rubber pads, these just need to pop out. The adhesive is still there, they're just not as strong as they used to be. You can replace it with double-sided tape, and that reveals the 4 initial Phillips screw points. So let's pop those 4 screws out. Now let's remove the back cover, put it to the side. We can carefully move the circuit board about, but we need to remove this single screw here, and this will allow us to lift out the battery compartment. Now we've got the original screen cable, and we've got the button cable. On mine, these are pop down connectors. So pop that down and carefully remove the button connector. And again, hopefully we can pop down the connector point for the screen and carefully, hopefully pop that out. We've got 2 connectors either side. These have got locking tab. So carefully pull them back slightly and just wiggle them out. 1 and 2. We don't need this at the moment, so let's pop this to the side. We're going to remove the screen, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. Hold on to the screws, because according to BennVenn's website, you will be reusing these screws. Now we can lift out the screen with its backlight as one unit. So there we go. Whole thing gone. BennVenn's, or sorry, Atari Gamer's bracket is going to mount in here. It can only go one way, and that's how it should sit in. So we're going to take the BennVenn unit, and if I get this the right way around, it should be a relatively tight fit in there. Now you can see where the original cable was. This is going to come out the same way. So simple and straightforward there. Now before I mount this, it's really important to take off the film. I'm just going to make sure that I have no dust. This is a microfiber cloth. I'm just having it upside down so nothing can drop in. And I know I did this in the last video, but I've just opened it again, so let's make sure. We take this and peel it off. And I'm going to keep this facing down at all times because I don't want any dust to fall onto the screen. And using the Atari Gamer 3D printed bracket, this should sit, and you can see the screen moves about now with that in place. And we will use the original screws third. Now this doesn't seem to be sitting quite right, so I'm just going to back off the three that are in slightly, which should then allow me to move this about until it drops nicely into place, like so. So final screw, and now I'll just tighten these down. And that's the replacement BennVenn screen already in. Tiny bit of silver on this side, but then in fairness I can see just a tiny bit on that side. However, I can live with that quite happily. But this bracket just stops everything from moving, which is quite nice. In fact, I managed to move it enough there. There we go. That bit took the longest time. So get rid of the rubbish, because we don't need that anymore. So next off, I'm going to tin this backlight connector point and solder a wire on. That will then allow me to run the wire to where it needs to go. So I have my small piece of wire, and I'm going to be connecting to a point that's about here. I've given myself plenty. I'm just going to solder it so that it comes out the side. First, I'm going to tin that pad. So with that tinned and the wire on, I've got plenty of excess. I'm just going to gently guide this so it comes out this way. It gives me tons of excess so that I can still remove everything, access everything, and not have to worry about this wire getting in the way. The wire is small enough, it will just stay out the way. Last thing to do with this is to attach the new cable. So pop up, slide in, and done. And that's everything done for this top shell. Now please remember, you do not have to solder this. This is a solderless installation if you wish. This is just to get the extra features of the adjustable backlight. Now we need to move on to this board. Now I have been doing some digging, and I have found a couple of things online that I'll need to address on this particular Lynx. First of all, this power MOSFET Q12, and then this Zener diode D13. It doesn't use a proper voltage regulator, a 5-volt one. It uses the Zener diode to control the voltage. The problem you've got is these can fail, and so can the Zener diode. And if the Zener diode fails, it can put your source voltage through the main chips. By that I mean 6 volts from your batteries through a 5-volt chip. If you're using external power supply, then you could be putting through, you know, if this is a 9-volt input, you could be putting 9 volts potentially if this Zener chip fails, if this Zener diode fails, through the chips, and that's not something you want to have happen. That's bad. Let's put it that way. Let's not do that. Last thing we've got to do is disable the high voltage circuit, and this, I believe it's an inductor. This has to come out. So it's going to be these two here. So let's just quickly pop them out. That's now out, so I can look at reinstalling this back into the rest of it. And I believe this is where it gets a little bit more tricky. In fact, looking at this, I made a mistake. This should actually get connected to here, I believe. Because that will fold under and it will be easier to slide it to the side than try and connect this in. So let us reconnect the speaker. And now reconnect the buttons. And the final bit will be, for these cables anyway, to connect this into place. It's very difficult to do this one-handed so you can see. So sorry for the pig's ear I am currently making to do it. That's it now connected, hopefully, and we can drop the board back into place. This can be done in a second. I just want to make sure the wire's thin enough it shouldn't interfere, so that should be fine, just to make sure that everything is going to be there. Great. Okay, so last thing to do is going to be to connect this. To connect this wire, I'm going to connect it to the 4th pin from the left, right at the back of the game slot, of the card slot. That's where it needs to go. That's the input from the button ribbon for the backlight. I'm just going to strip the end, put a little bit of solder on it, and we'll attach that. So that's it now connected to the 4th pin, and there's nothing left to do bar final assembly and testing. So let's find out what happens. And there we have it. Back together and ready. So let's find out what happens. Well, yeah, that's kind of like night and day, literally. Wow, that's impressive. That's really, really impressive. I am stunned. Compared to what it was before, I mean, look at the viewing angle. Holy, oh, geez, that's almost vertical and you can still see it on the screen. Oh yeah, okay. Wow. Yeah, there's not a lot I can say. By the time you factor in shipping, this is about 60, 70 pounds. Unbelievable. In fact, it might even be cheaper than that. I haven't checked. This is amazing. This really is amazing. Wow. Yeah, I've not seen a Lynx as nice as this. Oh. Well, I can punch, and apparently I can get blown up too. Yeah, I'm not very good at this, am I? Oh, I can beat up bad guys now. Yay! Yeah, and somebody that throws bombs. Oh, I'm dreadful. Yeah, okay. Let's stop there. As for the backlight, oh yeah, you should be able to see that dimming. And then off. So I am really impressed. I am really, really, really impressed. 10 out of 10, that's an amazing mod. It does not take long to do. I'm speechless, that's great. Thank you, BennVenn, for coming out with something like this. So simple to do. Really, if you want to keep it to the basics, you've got one component to remove. There it is. This is also fully reversible. I could solder that back in, put the original screen back in, and you would not know it had ever been done. Let's be honest here. Yeah. Amazing. Well done. Like that a lot. I am still speechless by how good that is. Well, I hope you enjoyed this retro crazy. I certainly know for the result I did. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.